This is Anthony Alex from the Angry Mailman podcast, and you're listening to another fine show from the From Page to Screen Media Empire.
Hey guys, this is Ace Marrero from the movie Madison County.
Hi, this is David L.G. Hughes, writer-director of the film Hallbowl Suites.
I love the pace and the fastness, and I love the fact that you just roll with it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted.
Hi, I'm J.K. Amadou, the writer-director of Deviation.
Hi, I'm Brando Benetton, director of Nightfire.
My name is Nathan Whitehead, and I wrote the music for Beyond Skyline.
Hi, this is James Cullen Brussack, the writer, director, and producer.
Hi, this is Ben Lloyd Holmes from the film The Expedition.
This is Dominic Burns, the director of Allies.
Hey, Stuart, pagetoscreen.com up in my bum piece. See, that was my motorcycle running and tracking over my fucking neighbor's Jamie's with eating pizza and pussy.
I'm Neil Johnson. I directed Road Warrior and The Time War, and I crucified Adolf Hitler.
The From Page to Screen.
Hello?
Hello? I thought technology was misbehaving then. It's like, why is she not answering? It can't be.
I didn't even realize that you were calling. I'm sorry.
I thought it can't be live stream / podcast nerves because you've been doing them all week, Stacey.
Well, I don't know if I'd be doing them all week, but I've done a couple. I've definitely done a couple.
So I sprung it on Rob. Rob, meet Stacey. Stacey, meet Rob.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Happy 4th for yesterday.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thank you. We were celebrating in this household. My wife's American, so we were making homemade corn dogs. We were making funnel cakes. Lots of fun going on here.
Did you guys have fireworks?
We didn't. We had to settle for a late night bedroom rave as we're all in lockdown here in Wales. So we had glow sticks and little light.
I'm not even going to ask what a bedtime rave is. I don't. Just anyway, it's swiftly moving on. So, what did you, Stacey? What did you do on the 4th? I know what I did. I'd worked my night job for 11 hours, speaking to grumpy customers and joining in a wonderful live stream when and where I could. I might add.
Well, I did a live stream. That's what I did. Nothing too extravagant. Just hung out.
So you did 2. Well, you've done more than 2 this week. And which obviously, and it seems to be a recurring theme, obviously I was not able to participate in because I was doing my night job. However, if I was able to participate and view your live stream, it would have been great fun. But you did one which was video, and then you did the remainder which were audio only. Which ones did you prefer?
Audio only.
Why? Because
I'm really shy. I know that's kind of odd because of what I do for work, but I'm really shy. It's like when you're in front of the camera and you have a script, that's one thing because your mind is focused on a character. But when you're in front of the camera and you know there's a lot of people looking at you and you're the only one that can speak, so you have to kind of carry the conversation, it's nerve-wracking. So I don't want people to see me because I can at least focus on what I'm saying and not what I'm looking like because I can see myself.
Well, we saw your cat. We saw your cat's tail at one point because your cat made a little bit of an appearance, but then decided, "I'm not being paid for this. I'm off. I'm gone."
Yeah, I only did the one visual because people kept asking me, like, "When are we going to be able to see you?" And I was like, "Oh, you can see me anytime. Go on the internet and put my name in.
Rent my movies."
Yeah. So, but I did it just so that people were, so they would stop asking. And it's funny because a few of the people that were saying, you need to go live weren't even there. And I'm like, I'm never doing it again. So sorry.
Because Rob and I have chatted about doing live podcasts at some point, and that may happen. And some of that may be connected to the technology that you show me and how it works and stuff, Stacey. So that's kind of cool. But I've listened to podcasts that are live before, but I've listened to them after they've been recorded, and generally it's like, so, what movies have you... Oh, hi, Dave, in the chat, how are you? So anyway, Rob, what have you watched? Oh, hi, Frank, how are you? And It's like, whilst you're live, that's fine, but listening to it after the fact, you're like, can you just shut up and tell me what films you've watched, please? Because that's all I'm listening for. So I think if we were doing the live podcasts, it would probably be generally ignoring a lot of the audience. I think it has to be. because the majority of people listen to them after the fact.
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense. I think for the reason that I do them is more so just to interact with people. It's not so much promoting my work. I'm sure that's probably not the wisest choice, but it's more or less just to hang out with people and get to know what people are doing, during this crazy time. And it's not so much about my work. If they ask, I'm more than happy to talk about it. But I mean, I know you've been on there a couple of times and we go all over the place. I don't really set any one direction. I let them decide what they want to talk about and we kind of just go from there.
I know it's not so much let's interview Stacey about her movies and nothing else. It's generally, it's a free-for-all, isn't it, where people are just saying, hey, what have you had for tea? Have you had a pizza?
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty laid back. I don't want it to be like, let's talk about me, enough about me, let's talk about me again.
They're fun, though. They are fun. We're not going to interrogate you too much on this one, but I'm pretty sure we will fire questions at you. But,
sure.
You've listened to this show for ages anyway, so thank you for that. That's much appreciated.
Sure.
Enduring me and Rob's chat.
I have. You guys
it's nice to have one listener.
Stop it. You have more than one.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how many we've got, Rob, but we do quite well. So it's I will often get people saying, oh, I was listening to your podcast. You're like, what? Wait, how long? Oh, years. What? It's quite strange. Apparently, and this was probably about 5-6 years ago, Annette was on a bus coming back from Manchester and she heard two total strangers talking about this podcast on the bus. And I still don't know who the people are, but I'm like, why are people that don't know me listening to this podcast? I don't understand. But,
That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool.
Kind of weird.
How has your week been? Who shall we start with? Let's go for Rob. What have you been up to since we last recorded a whole 7 days ago?
I've been terrible this week.
What have you done?
I mentioned last week, obviously, that I would like to chill out this week and really not do much work, and I've taken that to the next level and done nothing, except for play on the Nintendo Switch.
What, you've been playing more Minecraft Dungeons?
Minecraft Dungeons, Minecraft Original, and Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Did you hit up Noel Clark?
I didn't, but I've been battling away with the game to get as far into it as possible. So, collecting bells, which is the currency in the game, by fishing, diving, cutting down trees, and everything else possible. So I'm not doing too badly. So I think the world is ready for Noel Clark to make an appearance if that can be arranged.
Just hit him up on Twitter and don't ask him advice on certain things. It's not worth it. He'll just tell you to go read a book. But he does. He publicly puts the tweets out saying, I don't understand Animal Crossing, so I'm not going to repeat what he says because I don't get it. But he's a big fan of that, so he plays it with his kids.
That's cool.
It's a great thing for parents to do. And then what happens is the parents take over and the kids are just there going, why have you taken over my Switch? I want to play on it. No, go and play in your bedroom.
Well, that was going to be my question, because obviously you paid for the Switch. I'm guessing your daughter didn't go out and buy it herself. So whose Switch is it? Is it everybody's Switch, or is it everybody's unless you want to play it, in which case it's yours?
Well, this is why I must be a bad parent, because it was bought for Addie for her birthday, and now I seem to have taken over.
Yep, I know the feeling. It's I treated myself to an Xbox One, and then I've played that maybe twice, so I'm more a PlayStation person. So, are you a video gamer, Stacey?
No, not really. I mean, way back in the day I used to, but I would spend hours until my fingers hurt. So I can't do it because I know I will be full on 24 hours a day.
What did you used to play? What did you used to play?
Oh my God. I don't want to tell you because it's going to reveal my age.
Do you know what? I was born before computers were ever in a house. So, obviously the games you played were retro games from years before you were born. Which you managed to get. So what games were they?
Okay. So I loved Mario Brothers. I loved it. Literally
Great game.
And it's crazy because I literally would spend hours on end and not even get anything to eat or drink because I had to get to the next level, And you could pause it, but no, I couldn't pause it. I had to keep going.
I'll pause it. So,
that was as much as I did, really.
Mario, the biggest serial killer ever, isn't he? Because all the mushrooms are actually humans. So it's quite
True.
grim. That was it. The first Mario, the second, third, all of them.
I honestly don't even remember what generation they were. I think I just stole them from my brother.
So not so much. You don't own any consoles or anything like that in a minute.
Well, you know what? I actually bought a Wii, but I only bought it for the exercise stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't even use it. So there's that.
It's a thing with a Nintendo Wii. It's one of the biggest selling consoles ever, and it's also the biggest dust gatherer because people did buy it going, oh, I'm going to... It's like gym equipment for your house. You go, brilliant, I'm going to buy it, and then it ends up becoming a clothes horse where just T-shirts and stuff get hung over it. So
it's so true. It's so true. But honestly, the amount that it costs to like sign up for the gym for a year is equivalent to like one treadmill, if that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it will take you a while to build your own gym at home. Plus, I'm not motivated at home. I would walk by it and, like you said, hang some stuff on it, dust it off.
I have a sit-up bench next to me. It's got some photo frames on it and my new Samsung Galaxy tablet sitting on it. And I think the most exercise I've done on it was when I built it up when it first arrived about 4 months ago. So
that's funny.
I don't get
it. You need to do what I did. You move to Wales next to the beach and next to the child play area at the beach, a few minutes walk from the house. There's like one of these outdoor gyms with all the kind of the equipment and everything like that you just go and use whenever you want.
Nice.
I never use it, but it's there.
I normally make sure I get out for loads and loads of walks when I'm not at work, but the weather's been horrendous. It's like something out of Twister here over the past couple of days. It's disgraceful.
Like raining or?
Rainy, windy, just it's horrible. The sort of rain you don't want to go out and walk in because it will hurt you. So we've had that for the past few days, but now I'm off work for 20 days. I'm so excited.
What are you going to do with yourself, Stuart?
Not a lot. I've got a few podcasts scheduled. I've got my little film festival downstairs with the 102-inch projector screen, which we started last week.
You're welcome.
Just to test it. Yeah, thank you. I spent some more money on that. Thanks very much, Rob. I've been out and bought about 6 big buckets of popcorn.
Yes.
Because you've got to have popcorn. So we started watching that last week, and then I finished work at 7 o'clock this morning, so I was very tired, slept for about 5 hours, got up, and now it's 8:45 at night. So,
really? You're such a go-getter. I'm so jealous.
I'm just trying... So, Rob, you mentioned that you spent a few days just having a rest and chilling out. That's what I did on the 4 days before I went back to work for the past 4 days. So I got up in the morning, and then by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was still tired. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back and have a second sleep. So I did, and it was amazing. I love it. I never do that. I never rest. So, we've had the conversation before where sometimes you've got to force yourself to rest. It's really really hard work. So that's what I'm going to do over 20 days. It's not much.
I don't believe it. I think you should put it in writing.
Yeah, I'm saying I'll do it, but I won't.
I don't think you will.
No, I won't. I've already moved my entire desk around in the past hour. So it's there's too much stuff to do.
There is.
But we need to rest. So do you want a Mimi update, Rob?
Oh, I'd love one.
So a few months back, I was talking to Lemissa's mum, and Lemissa's mum said, right, well, we love working with you. We want to work together on this really, really dark project. And I'm like, okay, define dark. Sure, it's just something really messed up. Now, Mimi's like 13 at the minute, or Lemissa's 13 at the minute. So, and Zora's her mum. So I'm like, well, what do you mean, really messed up? Just something really messed up, because nobody else will touch this sort of stuff. Nobody, they'll go, oh, I can't write that. She's a 13-year-old girl. I'm like, I understand that. You've got to watch what you write. And she's like, she wants to do it because she loves horror movies, and she just wants something really, really messed up. So I'm like, you need to give me more than messed up. She's like, just something really, really messed up. I'm like, that's not helping. I don't know where to go with that. She said, well, she's not bothered what she plays because we trust you the way that we would film it, so we know that she's not going to come to any harm, but I just want a story that's all messed up. So I'm like, okay, right, well, come up with some ideas, let me know, and then I'll write the script for you. And then what I'll do is I'll pass it over to you, and then you can just dissect it and tell me that it's too harsh, or it's not harsh enough, or it's nothing like the one you... And yeah, we'll do. So I finished this thing at the beginning of April, and then very nervously sent the draft over. Now, I did say to Mrs. Mum, I said, right, just bearing in mind this story that I'm sending over, I'm not writing it thinking that your daughter's going to play the main role. Just to let you know, I can't write it like that, because you want messed up, I'll do messed up. But I'm not thinking of, what can I have done to her? That's kind of creepy. Think of it as a story. So she's like, all right.
Is it a short or is it a feature?
No, it's in between at the minute. So I think it's around the 45, 50-minute mark. But the way I tend to write stuff is I'll write a page and then it'll turn into 5 pages when it gets filmed. Mm-hmm. So it kind of expands. So at the minute, I think it's about 40-odd pages. So I'm aiming for a feature for that one.
And how old is her daughter?
She's 13.
Oh, okay.
So she was 12 when we filmed the first and second Mimi. And now she's aged, which has caused me to rewrite a lot of the third one. Blah, blah, blah. So I sent the script to her. I was very nervous because it's like, here you go, I've written this story for your daughter to play the main role that you asked me to do, and you wanted it to be messed up. So, and every time I would message her saying, have you read the script yet? No, not yet. So I was waiting weeks for the feedback. And then she messaged me the other day and she said, I've read the script. So I'm like, okay, what do you want changing then? She went, I don't want to change any of it. I'm like, what do you mean? She went, it's perfect. I'm like, okay.
That's great. That's really great.
She said, it's very different than the one I was imagining, so we'll do that one as well, but I want to do this one. So like,
wow.
Okay, so that's kind of great. I was all expecting feedback. It's like, and it's kind of nice not to get any notes, but I was all prepared to use that as a first draft. But no, apparently this one is spot on, so...
Now, did you say it's dark like thriller, or it's dark like blood?
No, there's no blood in it because blood's expensive. So I will always write, right, how much money have I got? Nothing. Right, let's write a script that involves 2 people and lots of dialogue and anything else that I've got around the house. That'll do.
Some of those are the most powerful stories.
They are, aren't they? So it's
absolutely.
So yeah, it's just dark as in tone. So it should be It should be fun. So I've got that one going.
I've got a Dalek if you need it.
I don't think there's a Dalek in it. I've got a claw hammer, glass.
Should I have a melon?
No, I've got the dark and horrible, creepy location. I've already got that. So that's it's kind of weird. So that's yet another film I'm going to be doing at some point. We also did discuss Mimi 3, and as soon as our lockdowns end in the UK, then we are going to crack on and film that. But the UK is in this weird situation at the minute where everybody thinks the lockdowns are over, but they're really not. So it's a bit of an odd situation, isn't it, Rob?
It is indeed. It's one of those things. I think I've spoken to some more people this week. It seems that the NHS are preparing for a second wave. Yep. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but you know how people are acting, it probably will.
Oh, it will happen. Yeah, September, October, isn't it? It'll happen. Yep, definitely. I see people outside my window and stuff just wandering around in big groups. You're like, you're out of your mind. Or, the solitary person that decides to wear a mask gets pointed at and laughed at by all those idiots that aren't wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
Madness.
Well, I haven't gone to the gym for that very reason. I don't know if you saw that poll I did, but I'd asked who thought it would be safe to go and who didn't. It was like a 60% said don't go and 40% said go, but wear a mask. I can't run with a mask.
No, I was going to say, but it would be so weird doing exercise with a mask. It just
how do you breathe?
You wouldn't breathe. I mean, swimming wouldn't be easy either, would it?
Mm-hmm.
I think gyms were one of the areas where they particularly warned, because obviously all the sweat and the kind of the bodily fluids, as it were, in these places is just not great for the virus. So a good reason to stay home and not work out.
Whereas pubs and bars, they're okay apparently. Yeah.
And let's open them at 6 a.m, something like that.
Wow.
Not here. They're really strict here.
Well, they've opened them. When did they open them up here, Rob? It's like yesterday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that. And like I say, they'd had special permission to open extra early because obviously everybody needs to drink at 6 a.m. or whatever it was.
Of course. Yeah. So what were you saying, Stacey? They're extra careful over there.
Yeah, they won't open bars here. I mean, especially because in Boston, I mean, most of them are very old bars and they're very small and they're on top of each other. I mean, we're used to hitting elbows wherever we go. So this is a whole new world for us. I mean, it's obviously it's not going to be the same ever, but it's scary because we're just so used to being on top of each other. It's just normal. It's normal to us, like to be crowded on the sidewalks and, you know, be crowded in elevators and bars, especially because, you know, they're small. They're usually a smaller size. So it's sad because I actually, there was a place in Boston that just closed after being in business for 43 years.
Wow.
Because they knew that they were just going to tank. They hadn't been making any money because they can't open. And once they opened, they were limited to like 12 people. So at that point, they closed. They just closed their business. It's really sad. But
we are living in a strange world. It's been a weird 4 months, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
And I think it'll be a weird next 4 months. I think when people do start going out, psychologically, it's going to mess people up. They'll be a bit like, well, I don't know if I think we've all become acclimatized to staying at home. I know I have.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need like, oh, I haven't been out in 2 days, or rather in my case, like 2 weeks. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm just so used to doing everything I need to do in my house. It's quite strange.
I miss being out, but I don't know. I think I've become comfortably numb being home, which is hard because obviously with my work, I can't do everything from home. I've managed to do a few things, but it's difficult. I had a promo that I needed to do. I mean, this gentleman had asked me probably 3 months ago. And every time I did it, I was like, I'm not happy with it because I'm home. I don't have the right lighting. I'm not used to having to self-tape. And I did it for him probably 3 times. And then just the most recent one, I stayed up till 3 a.m. and then I sent it and I said, you know, I'm going to be honest. I hope you don't use this because it's awful. But I felt like I needed to give him something because he kept asking and I didn't have it. So, and I was exhausted because that was actually the same night that I had gone live and I actually recorded video.
Yeah.
That was super stressful. So it was that same night and I felt bad, but I wanted to deliver, but what I delivered isn't something I was proud of. So hopefully he doesn't use it, honestly.
Because it's hard work. I was chatting with John Fouts last week, and we were chatting about people use your lockdown time productively and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's cool if you do, but if you also use it as rest time, then that's okay too. But it's a lot of people feel the need that they have to come out of this lockdown having written a book, shot a film, you know, that changed the world or whatever.
Built a house.
Built a house, then rebuilt the house, and you know, solved poverty and cured COVID and all this sort of stuff. But I think it's
found the cure to cancer.
No, I did that back in March. That's fine. Did that before COVID.
Not to brag or anything.
No,
but...
not to brag. No, but I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped it. So I'll do another one later on. But it's like,
so funny.
I tend to keep myself busy not because I feel the need to be productive. It's just because it stops me going nuts. It's like,
I vicariously live through Stuart, who's constantly productive. So he does enough for me, my friends, my family.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
I'm doing your share. It's fine. I don't mind. I am good with that. So I don't know how many podcasts we've done during lockdown. It's probably about 20-something, I think, at this time. Crazy.
Yeah,
have you really?
Outsource everything to you, Stuart.
Yeah, just do everything.
Yeah.
I would happily do all the non-work. My paying job bores me to tears. It really does. Because I'm underused. If that
what I was going to say? Not to change the subject, but just going back to that film that you're working on.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the YouTube video where Scorsese is talking about the art of silence? I'll share it with you, but it's so interesting. And he used it for Shutter Island, Superman. I don't even recall what the other ones were, but he was like, I know it doesn't sound like it's original, but it really is, that having that art of silence, like complete silence, no backdrop, no music, nothing. I'm going to send you the link because you'll find it really interesting, because it makes what you're working on intense, but you don't have to have like all the fancy stuff with it.
Like money. Yes. I mean,
well, that little thing. Yes.
I actually prefer shooting films for next to nothing. I think if somebody phoned me up and said, right, I want you to make a film for like $10 million, it would scare me. I wouldn't know what to do with that if I had to spend it on the film. You know, if I didn't have to spend it on the film, I'd pay all your mortgages off for you and buy your houses. But, you know, film-wise, I never feel the need to spend that much money on films. I've got to be. I enjoy being more creative with nothing. It's like, right, you've got nothing, be creative with it. It's like, okay, just like a big jigsaw puzzle.
I agree with that. And it's hard because, not to judge, but I feel like if you're a true creative, at least in this area where I live, that you understand that feature films only come here like 5 times a year. I mean, people are like, oh, they're always filming in Boston. It's not. They're not always filming in Boston. It's that a film takes 9 months. But if you're only working once in 9 months, unless you're Bradley Cooper or Jennifer Lawrence, I mean, that's not going to be enough to cover you. Yeah. So, you know, I think Stuart, you were on when I was talking about that, how difficult it is to I'm non-union, but I'm SAG eligible and not join, and how it can cause a little bit of a rift sometimes because people don't understand, like, why wouldn't you join? Like, that's like the golden ticket. But to me, it's not, because that's the door that closes all of my opportunities to work with independent filmmakers. And for me, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. I think certainly nowadays, and by that I don't just mean lockdown time periods, but the indie film, I think there's more indie films that are getting made than massive studio films. I think the mid-level films have disappeared pretty much now. It's all $200 million movies or super low-budget ones like Blumhouse. There's no $20 million movies, or not many anyway.
Right.
So there's a whole market just disappeared.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. And you're right, though, as far as I think that's why I enjoy working with independents so much, is because they have to work with so much less.
Yeah.
And, you know, you make it work. You use what you have. I mean, you probably know, you know, just starting out when you're looking to shoot a scene that needs to be dark, you're going to use garbage bags over the windows, as opposed to if you're, you know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to if you have a whole crew that's going to make sure that, you know, there's like a drop over the house, and you got to get creative when you're an indie. And I love that. Like, I love that. I feel like they work. Not that the you know, the film productions that are in SAG are not working hard, but I just feel like it's more personal when you're an independent, because like that's going to represent you and, you know, your sweat and tears, not 500 people that are under a production team. You know.
See, with me, just like me. It's great. So when's the film coming out? Whenever I release it. Yeah, when's that going to be? Don't know. When it's done. And it's you know, the money that's gone into it, other than the Kickstarter donations to buy the equipment, it's all mine that's gone into it. It's me that's choosing to rewrite this, that, and that. So I quite like that aspect of it. So, but I don't actually class that as real filmmaking, because it would be a total, well, not, you know, compared to everybody else's type of filmmaking, but you put me on a film set with crews and all this sort of stuff, then I'd be very confused, because I've never done that before. That's probably another step at some point.
It's such a totally different dynamic. It's just, I mean, there's just so many bosses. I mean, ultimately the director is going to be the one at the end of the day that's making the rules, but it's so hard, because if you don't understand the difference between the first AD, the second AD, then you're in trouble. Because you can be told to do one thing but different from two people, and you need to know which one is the one who's actually going to, you know, be the boss. And it's hard, because on the set everybody wants to be the boss.
Of course. So what else have you been up to, Rob? Other than playing video games?
No, that's it.
That's it. You've just been. That's all you've been doing all week, just playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah, why not? And there's been obviously the Star Trek Voyager at night times, and today was a huge breakthrough. My 8-year-old daughter Addie, she sat down and watch Star Trek Voyager with me, and then she wanted to watch the next episode and the next episode. And so I think we've got a little Trekkie in the making now, so I am over the moon as a parent.
What's her favourite character?
I don't think she's watched it enough to actually develop one at the moment, but she's asking to see more, which is the important thing.
Okay.
That's nice. Get her in Sci-Fi a little early.
Oh, yeah.
Get her into Deep Space Nine at some point.
That will come.
That would be good. So
yes.
So I took your recommendation and watched the Deep Space Nine documentary, What We Left Behind, which I rented from Google Play, which was very, very good. It cost me like £2, which is great. It was nice.
And you got the HD version as well.
I got the HD version. So, documentary all about the making of Deep Space Nine, or more so about the legacy of it, I think. It was kind of it was a weird mix, wasn't it? So half of it was about the making of. Then the other bit was, I'm going to say like 3 halves, which makes no sense. Then there was a second half, which was all about what they would have done if they'd have brought it back nowadays. And then there was the third half, which makes no sense, about the legacy of it and et cetera, et cetera. I enjoyed the looking back and speaking with the cast members part the most.
Yeah.
I think. I wasn't a massive fan of if we wrote it now, what would we do? Because I kept thinking, yeah, but you're not bringing it back. So what do we care? We're never going to see this episode. It's not going to happen. So that kind
part of me thinks that was done because they were hoping
that would happen.
Enough fan force was behind it, then obviously they could potentially bring it back.
Right.
I don't know how popular the documentary was, but and with how everything works, you never know. There could be talks behind the scenes somewhere, but I think that was there. Hoping to tempt people in and get some real kind of fan passion behind the whole thing, and just see what was possible.
Well, you come up with the story. I'll write the script, and then Stacey, you could be the main star, and we'll make lots of money. Done.
Fabulous.
That's solved.
Yeah,
we've just
well, Cisco was gone, so Stacey can come back in. Sent by Starfleet as the new head of the station.
Yep.
Sure.
You never know. But I enjoyed it. It's a good documentary. It was all right. So I'm on a bit of a documentary kick at the minute. So I've just finished.
I love documentaries. Have you seen is it Craigslist? Have you seen that one?
I have not. No.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to see that. It's a little bit older, but you have to see it. It's amazing. It's actually about a younger kid. He's probably in his 20s, and he's from California, and he wants to travel across the country to prove that he can survive off of the kindness of other people without a dollar, without his license, without anything. It's incredible. So so he has to meet people along the way and either work for them or explain what he's doing. Like he went and interview. Well, he stayed with a family. I don't know how he met them. I can't recall, but he had stayed with a family that was from. I don't want to say they weren't Americans. They weren't born here. It was obvious they weren't born here, but they were in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I think there was like 7 of them. And they offered to take him in. So there was like a shot of them sitting on the floor talking, and you could see it was just so moving because he's like, these people have absolutely nothing, and they're offering me a place to stay and food. And the guy that was there said, it's really difficult for me because now when I walk down the street, people look the other way or put their nose up because of 9/11. Yeah. And he's like, and I fought for this country. I joined the service when I got here. So it's so touching. You guys have to see it. I'm going to find out the exact name, but I'm pretty sure it's called Craigslist.
Nice.
But it's true. He uses Craigslist the entire time to it's just amazing.
That's another link you'll have to send me. I'm liking the show. I don't even have to go. I don't even have to go look for films now. It's like we'll talk about them and send me a link. That sounds good though. That's the sort of thing that I wouldn't do that one because I would be, I'd probably get killed or kidnapped. So, and I think that's the way people are nowadays, aren't they? They're a case of, no, there could be a serial killer. Don't be nice to people. Don't speak to strangers. They might murder you. Which is a shame.
Craigslist Joe. That's the name of it, Craigslist Joe. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it was just so sweet. His mom sent him out with like a backpack, and he had some fruit and I think a couple potatoes, and that was it. And he was like, I'm going to do this. And he did. He did it. He made it. It's amazing. You got to see it.
I'd love to do stuff like that. First one I ever shot was when I just went to an airport and bought a one-way ticket to a country and then worked my way back, and I filmed all that. That was 2008, so that's on YouTube. I could send you a link to that, or we could swap links. But that was...
I did enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a crazy experience. It's like just meeting up with a bunch of strangers across Europe and just traveling, not making any hotel reservations, no flight reservations whatsoever, and just filming it. It was fun. And I did it. I'm still alive, so, and then...
Success.
Yes. And then obviously experiencing Comic-Con was very much a seat of the pants type documentary. Let's just film stuff and see where it goes. So that was fun. So I do like all these type of documentaries, like Super Size Me is one of my favorite ones.
I saw that too. I did see that.
There's a second one out, isn't there, I think, though?
There is.
What does he eat? Or what's the pitch of that one? I guess it's not like Burger King or something.
I don't know. I've only seen the first one, but I know there's a second one, so...
I'm going to go hunting for that one and see actually what he does. Maybe he does the same thing again? I don't know.
Happy Meals? I don't know.
Possibly. But I like these sort of weird challenges. I once decided how long I could stay awake for. It was 3 days. Another time I decided to see how long I could go without food, and that was about 3 days as well. It seems to be my time period. 3 days, and then I get bored or hungry or tired, and then just give up.
Totally reasonable.
So, at some point, I want to do a kind of follow-up to Experiencing Comic-Con called Experiencing the Location, which is all these little film locations that people just walk by and live near, but nobody knows that they were used in movies. So I've already got a few bits and pieces filmed for that. Neil Johnson, the wonderful filmmaker, has been helping me out with that one. So that'll probably take me about 10 years to make.
I've got several places all around here for you. So
there's loads, isn't there? But people walk by and they don't realise that there was a movie shot there, there's a TV show shot there. And, we're just totally oblivious to them. So very easy to film. So I did put a call out at one point years ago saying, everybody send your films in. And I think nobody sent them in. So I have a bit of a bigger following now, so I might start doing that again. Who knows? So, Stacey, watching anything? Working your way through any TV shows, any movies, anything that would entertain us?
To be quite honest, I think I found like this new vibe for me, because I see so many people that are monetized on YouTube that really need views. So when I tell you, Stuart, I go all out. If I promise someone I'm going to support them and get them views, I do it. So I have this whole spread. I have 2 phones, my TV, my Kindle, my laptop, all with people's different streams going at the same time. So I can support like 5 or 6 people. And it's, it's hard because I put my earbuds in and I'll listen to one for like 20 minutes and then I skip to the next one because I want to know what they're talking about too. But, I want to try to support people as much as I can because I know a lot of people are depending on that for a living right now. And, yeah, it's something I could do that's easy enough. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. So the focus on a lot of what I see is I see a ton of paranormal stuff. A lot of artists that are actually, they're drawing and they're actually just taping as they're doing art. So I watch that. A lot of narratives, like stories, true stories, scary stories. So a lot of stuff like that, and it's funny because things that I've picked up from, say, Reddit, for example, there was a story that I heard a while back, and it was about she was like a college kid who was home on break, and it was her brother's birthday, and for his birthday, they gave him night vision goggles, and she decided she was going to use them at night. So obviously she drove to some park, parked her car, and was going through the woods, and she thought she could hear someone behind her, but she wasn't sure. So every few steps she took, she could hear somebody moving, and she turned really quick and was able to see it was a guy. He was all in black, and he was hiding behind a tree. And this is actually a true story. And he couldn't see her because it was pitch black, but she could see him. So she ran a little bit so she could get ahead, and then she climbed up a tree And she held on up there for 45 minutes while this guy hunted her like an animal.
Wow.
And then you could hear him like screaming. And then he finally was like, F this. And he left. So she stayed up there for a while after he left. But when she got back to her car, her tires were popped and there was a rock through her windshield. My point of that was listening to that, I was able to pass that story on to a bunch of narrators because everyone is going to read it differently. I mean, the outcome's the same, but like little tidbits like that. So I try to just, support as much as I can. I like weird stories like that. They have to be true, though. I have trouble like with the fake ones.
That's a creepy one.
Isn't it creepy?
I don't like that story. I do, but
it is.
Yep. That's creepy.
Totally.
Yep. I'm going to write that and put a 13-year-old girl in the main character role. back in a minute.
Can you even imagine?
It's
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that she actually was able to climb that far up. She said that she was up far enough she could see over most of the park area, like the immediate area. So she was watching where he went, and he kept calling out, and she said she stayed super quiet and she just hugged that tree. I was like, oh my God. Yep. Yeah.
That sounds like my childhood. I invented free running. I'm positive. I just decided that I invented it. But as a kid, I would be able to scale a tree within seconds, or get over a wall within like two steps. I was because I was hunted by lunatics constantly when I was a kid. So it was in my instinct to just run constantly and escape. And I was never caught. So that was one of my claims to fame. I was never caught and beaten up, but I was regular.
Why did they hunt you?
They were just lunatics. They were just, older kids who, because they could never catch me, they wanted to catch me more. So I was like a trophy, but I wasn't going to let them catch me and beat me up. So I just kept running. But I was very good at scaling trees and climbing walls and tight roping along thin walls and up drain pipes and across roofs and all sorts. Yeah, I was a proper little ninja.
Wow. That's impressive.
Fun childhood. It's good times.
That's impressive.
Yep. So yeah, Rob, video games. I've picked up Iron Man VR, which I'm going to be playing next week. I haven't played it yet, but I am looking forward to putting the VR headset on and pretending to be Robert Downey Jr. and flying around while standing in my living room.
I think the world of him.
He seems like such a cool guy.
He's so sweet.
I nearly met him. Well, I say nearly met him. So I was working in Manchester at the time, and I was working in a document printing room for a massive accountancy firm. And a guy there went, I'm going to Starbucks. Do you want anything? Do you want to come with me to Starbucks? I'm like, no, I'm all right, thanks. So he went, he came back, and he went, guess who stood behind me in the queue? I'm like, hey, Robert Downey Jr. stood in Manchester behind you. But he was filming one of the Sherlock Holmes movies. So had I gone to Starbucks, I would have been stood in front of Robert Downey Jr. So, or is that...
He is wicked nice. He's very, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Favorite...
And he was actually very generous, too.
Oh, this is... Go on. Do you wish to... What film you were working on with him?
The Judge.
Yes.
The Judge.
I need to watch that because you were talking about that on the live stream. This is Robert Duvall as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And D'Onofrio.
Mm-hmm. I need to watch that.
It's a great film. I mean, I didn't know how it ended. Honestly, I sobbed like a baby when I watched it. I really did. It was... that ending killed me. So grab tissues for sure.
Well, you get destroyed by films, don't you? You're not a fan of the old weepies, even though you do like them. You don't like them.
Yes, exactly. I can't watch The Notebook. I still haven't seen it. I refuse to watch it because even men tell me they cry. So I will not watch it. I won't do it. I can't.
So I put in the stream the other day to you that I didn't like The Notebook, and the reason why is because everybody kept banging on about how great the film is, how amazing it is, how it will just destroy, and it's the best film ever. So I watched it, and it's like, okay, they just overhyped the film to me. So I wasn't impressed when I watched it. But
really,
yeah,
I won't watch it. I can't.
Watch My Sister's Keeper. That will break you into pieces.
That's what you told me, so why am I going to watch that? Nope, I'm not watching that either. Nope. I need movies like they either need to be dead, bloody, thriller, I can do comedy like The Heat, but it has to be a little rough for me to actually, like, if you lose me within the first 20 minutes, you've lost me. Like, you've lost me. There's no return. Like, I watched that Knives Out. I watched the first 30 minutes. I'm like, I can't even force myself to finish that.
Really?
I couldn't.
Why? Did you just not get into it?
No, I just thought it was really slow.
Oh, I like that film.
I thought it was really... I love Jamie Lee Curtis, don't get me wrong, but I just thought it was really slow. I just couldn't get into it.
Oops. So you're not excited about the sequel coming up?
Not really. Not really. Oh, no. Can I tell you a little bit about Robert Downey, though? Because I really do want to toot his horn, because he honestly is such a genuinely nice guy. So first off, on set, not only was he super, super great to his fans, which I'll explain, he was so nice to the people on set, like everyone. He bought all of the women Tiffany jewelry. All of us. Wow. You know what Tiffany's is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone got Tiffany's. Mm-hmm. And he bought the guys' stuff, too. I don't remember if he got them, money clips but he bought the guys' stuff, too. And then while we were filming, right in the middle of a set, they found us, but there was security all around the area for where we were shooting, but people are crazy. They love him. So people were climbing fire escapes, standing on top of buildings with binoculars, and it got crazy. And then they started chanting our DJ with those styrofoam fingers, and it got so loud that he was like, all right. So he went outside and he actually stopped filming. We stopped filming for a good 45 minutes to an hour. He signed autographs. He took pictures with pregnant women. He high-fived all the little kids. He walked up and down the street and gave autographs. He was just so sweet, and you can tell he wasn't doing it because he felt like they're not going to stop. I honestly think he enjoyed it, because when he came back in, he was smiling, and it was really natural. He wasn't like, oh, that was such a pain. It was just really natural. He was really, really sweet, though. But he's a little guy. I whisper like nobody's going to hear this. Yeah. But he is. He's really small. And D'Onofrio is not. He's gigantic-ish. He's 6'2", 6'3". So we actually had to go get apple boxes for Robert to stand on. I know. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. So it was kind of funny, because when we're shooting this scene, it just looked so weird because he was so small compared to him. So yeah, we had him up on apple boxes. Don't tell anybody.
No. I think that,
but they're both incredible actors. I will say that.
I think Robert Downey, like I know him. I think he's had his tough times in his life. He's got through them, and I think he appreciates that. And it's so nice to see.
His comeback is what I think he really values, because, he was struggling with a lot of stuff, but he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. I believe he's a black belt. He's very, very, very polite, very cordial to everyone, very generous. He was honestly a really nice guy to work with. He really was. And people, I know that he had rough times, and it looked like for a while there, he might not be coming back. There was probably no comeback for a little bit, but no, he's great. He's great. That Iron Man franchise absolutely boosted him.
Somebody on Twitter put a tweet out saying, do you think that Robert Downey Jr. is a good actor? So I just replied saying, go watch Chaplin. And then come back.
He's so versatile. He's so great.
He's a great
actor.
Really
is.
I remember him from Weird Science. Way back. First role I ever saw him in. So
I remember that.
That and one called Less Than Zero, which I think he had a very small role in as well. So I'm showing my age there.
Well, they all kind of start out like that. Brad Pitt used to dress up as a chicken and promote in front of a food store. Everybody's had to do something they don't want to.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that, these overnight sensations, as they like to call them, just get a phone call one day going, hey, do you want to be in a movie franchise? Yes, please. Yeah, you're an overnight sensation. It's like everybody started way back. Tom Cruise, I remember him in Endless Love with Brooke Shields, and then he did Taps, and then obviously Risky Business launched him, and he's never slowed down, that guy.
Yep. He's very versatile too. He is. He's a great actor. Yeah, but it is hard. It's hard to build yourself up, and you have to be super aggressive. I have people that ask me all the time, how important is it to have a manager or have an agent? It's important to a point, but no one's going to work as hard for you as you. Like you're going to be your biggest advocate. So it's great to have them if you have questions on a contract, we'll say, because they'll only collect money from your pay if they book the gig. So say you booked a gig on your own, you can call and say, you know, they're willing to pay me $5,000 for a 3-day shoot. Is that worth it? And your agent can look into it and get back to you. They may ask for a cut because of you giving you advice, but for the most part, you keep whatever you book.
Yeah.
So, so it's important at the end of the day if you plan on doing bigger type roles. I mean, I don't know, Stuart, did I tell you about the Ford commercial? What happened on that?
No.
And actually, I think it was he was either a producer or a director on Iron Man, because he was on Saturday Night Live the week after, and I was like, oh my God, I know that guy. So I went to it was just going to be like a small 2-3 minute Ford commercial, and it was a non-union gig. They had one principal, and it was just a guy. He was portraying like a mayor kind of thing. So everyone was outside this town hall, and then they had like these trucks go by. And I was pulled out of the crowd, which is, you know, that Pamela Anderson moment. Like they were up in the car in the sky, and they were like, go get her. So they came and got me, and they had me stand in the street. And then I just looked as the car went back and forth and back and forth. So I was just excited to be picked out of the crowd. Right. So I was heading back to base camp to get all my stuff. And everyone was saying, you have to call your agent about that, because that's a big, big difference. And I'm like, it's really not, though. I mean, I was standing, you know, I was in the street solo, but I didn't speak. They're like, no, that's still considered principal. You should call. So I called my agent thinking, you know, she's just going to say, yeah, you're going to get $300 for the day, like everyone else, and call it a day. And she was like, oh, I'm well aware of that project. I already got the call. She's like, the difference between what you did and what everyone else did is $18,000. I was like, what? Excuse me? I almost passed out. They ended up cutting it, so it wasn't in the... I was really surprised they even pulled me, honestly, because it was a rugged man kind of commercial. They had a carpenter, a firefighter, a policeman. So when they pulled me, I was like, what am I? Like, what am I? I was in my regular clothes. I'm like, I don't understand why. But they used me, you know, they had me for, I guess, B footage if they didn't like what they were working with. But it was ironic because just a few days later, I was watching Saturday Night Live, and there he was up on the screen, the director. So that's my story about agents and managers. I get that question a lot.
So what do you find, and I think you covered some of this in your stream as well, what do you find, what is the most common question that people ask you when they find out you're an actress? Or do you prefer the term actor? I'm never sure which is the proper term.
Technically it's actor.
Yes.
But everyone obviously refers to a female as an actress. But technically speaking, everyone is an actor. There is no she, he. Do you want the silly questions or do you want the real questions?
Go for some of each if you want. I find it fascinating.
Oh, gosh, it's funny. So when I first started on Twitter, I didn't put out there, like, I work in film. Eventually people like, so what do you do? I work in film. Oh, you do? What kind of film? Entertainment. Oh, what kind of entertainment? Not that kind of entertainment.
It's like, no.
So it always kind of goes in that direction. And then I'll have people who DM me. And for the most part, I think that they're joking. Some may be serious, but I think for the most, they're joking. They'll send me a DM that, even though I have that big red "do not DM me" in my profile, and they'll say, will you make a movie with me? No, I will not. No. Yeah. So I get that. But for the most part, I get a lot of questions as far as like, how old are you? Do you date actors? How is Mark Wahlberg? Are you guys friends? What is in the works that no one knows about? And then they'll ask me rumors about actors. Is this true? Are they a jerk? Are they nice? And yep. I would never confirm that. If someone's nice, I will come outright and be like, they're really great. But if they're not, I will dance around that subject until next week. I will not answer that question. I won't.
You just go back with they're interesting. They're an interesting person. Don't give any more than that out.
I say they're different. Sometimes I'm like, well, they're a little different, and I leave it at that. But I mean, every actor and director is different. I mean, I think you and I had talked about that before, and it's basically there are some directors that are super laid back, like Seth MacFarlane, totally laid back guy, so super talented, can do 3 things at the same time while he's directing a movie. It was incredible to watch him. But then you have other people like David O. Russell, who's a little eccentric, a little different.
Yes. Yep.
2 totally different spectrums, you know? And, you know, I think for me, one of the biggest struggles is, you know, when you're a little kid, you look up to your parents, we'll say, and you think they can never do anything wrong. I mean, they're the greatest people in the world, or an aunt and uncle or what have you. And then as you get older, you realize in reality, they're not so perfect. I've run into that on set where there's some older actors that I've worked with that I've thought the world of. I've always wanted to meet them and work with them. And then I do. And then I'm like disappointed a little.
They're different.
Yeah, like you expect them to be more like, hey, great to meet you. You know, thanks for liking my work kind of thing. Not so much the don't look at me, no eye contact rule. Stuart, you and I have spoken about that.
Yeah, about that instance, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the hardest things for me. Like, I had to accept that people are not always going to be how they're projected in real life. They're not going to be that person, except for Robert Downey. Like, I will always give him 5 stars. Always. So nice.
It's like, you know, I've gone from, wow, I'm such a fan of your work, to I'm never going to speak your name again.
Yes.
In an instant. And I think there's like thankfully for me, it's a very short list, but there is a little bit of a mental list where it's people on it going, right, I'll talk about your film because other people make it, but I'm never going to say anything positive or negative about that person ever. Mm-hmm. And I've stuck to it.
I will say the good thing about David O. Russell is he's open for suggestions. So when we were filming Patriots Day, which I haven't seen yet, but when we were filming, I have a background in medicine. So right away when we were filming like the hospital scenes, he put me in the ambulance and had me working on one of the brothers that in the film, clearly. It was frightening how close he looked. Like, I felt bad for him. I'm like, if I were you, I would wear a face mask through this neighborhood, because we filmed in Boston, and he looked identical to the brother that survived. And I just was, oh my gosh, it was just, ugh. So, but David O. Russell was very open. He's like, I don't know medicine. Whoever knows medicine, put your hand up. And then he just came over. He's like, what do I need? What do we need? You know, what would you do in this situation? Like, how many people would be working on him? Who should be in the hall? Like, he was super, super open to it. He's like, tell me what to do. And he's not that guy usually, because usually he has like his own, you know, agenda. He has what's set in his mind is how it's going to be. But I think he knew it looked too scripted, because when you have people that don't work in medicine, that don't know what you would truly do, they're doing what they think they should do. Like, let me get the Band-Aids. He has a bullet wound. Like, you know?
Yes. Yep.
I think he might need a wristband. You know, he's bleeding from his ear. So he was open with that, at least. I will say that. I mean, yes, he has a little bit of, you know, a temper at times. But I think he's just very compassionate about his work.
There are many stories on the internet about how wonderfully different David O. Russell is, if people want to go back and do a bit of research on them.
I'm not going to say who or what, but I'll say hypothetically, if he was arguing with someone on set, you'll never hear the actual story in the news. Like, I was impressed because I've done a couple for him, so it will be difficult to figure out who I'm talking about, but there was a time where there was a whole bunch of rumors in the news that he was feuding with some of the cast, and I was there, and I did see what I saw, but it was completely shot down. That's not true. That didn't happen. No, it did. It did. It happened. I mean, and it happens because everyone's tired. It's intense as it is because they're long shooting days. Sometimes it was hot, sometimes it's cold. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that come down to it, and people not seeing eye to eye, and then you're on a time crunch, and then you don't want to go over budget, and, you know, on and on and on. But it always amazes me that people are so afraid to admit that they had a dispute or that they had an issue on set. No, we're perfect. We're buds. We're great. Everything's fine. And it wasn't. It wasn't. You know, I think it's telling, because for people that are younger, I mean, you're kind of giving those new filmmakers the impression that there's never any problem. I mean, they'll learn the hard way, but, there's never any issues when you're working with, top celebrities or top directors. But there really is. I mean, that's real life. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it happens. But I always enjoy those aftermath interviews when they're like, no, that didn't happen. No, we're great. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Because there's tension on every single film, isn't there? There has to be.
Yeah.
There has to be, because you've got all these people. You've got a director who's in charge of a crazy amount of money and a crazy amount of people, and people are tired. So whenever I watch these making-ofs in the case of everybody was great, it all worked wonderfully, and everything was perfect, you go, no, not having that.
No. I will say, though, on Ted 2 with Mark Wahlberg and Seth, it was not tense. I know everyone looks at Mark differently. Some guys are like, he likes himself too much. And then some women are like, he's adorable. And then other people think that he was, he wasn't a great teenager, which he's a grown man now. So time to move on. But him and Seth were so funny. There was no tenseness there. There was no tension. They were funny. Like, it almost reminds you of like two college kids, like hanging out. Like, they're funny. If you just stood around and listened to some of their conversations, that was like, what? They were fun to work with. No tension there.
So
at least the days I was there.
So out of the films, obviously you've been in quite a few films, but which one do people ask you more about? American Hustle, R.I.P.D., Ted 2, or Patriots Day? Which are the most popular? What do you reckon? I'm thinking Ted 2, possibly.
Honestly?
Yeah.
Well, Ted 2, but also Grown Ups.
Yes.
Everyone wants to know what it's like working with Adam Sandler. And I was lucky because my scenes were with him, Kevin James, Salma Hayek, Maria Bello, and I don't recall who else. There was quite a few. And it's funny because, you always have that impression. You hear through the grapevine, oh, that one's terrible to work with. You don't ever want to work with that person. But you don't truly know until you work with that person, whether maybe they just had a bad day with whoever told you that. Because, a lot of people were like, Kevin James he's a little aggressive. I sat with him and did a scene with him. He was perfectly fine. He was a gentleman to me. He was nice. He was funny. It was a really laid back set too. It really was. So, but yeah, those are the two most asked about, Mark and, Ted 2 and Grown Ups. And people ask a lot why Mila Kunis wasn't in it. I believe, one, she was pregnant and they didn't want to rewrite the script. So she didn't. And two, the production was already in place and, the locations were already scouted and booked. So that's why she wasn't in the second one. So those are like the two main questions I get. It's really sad. I wish that I had met Bryce Cameron. Do you know who that is? He was the young, he started off in like Nickelodeon or something. Okay. His freckles, he died from an epileptic seizure, I want to say.
Yeah, this is one of the guys from Descendants, Stuart.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I wish that I had the opportunity to meet him because he's passed away since then from that epilepsy condition. But I wish that I did because from what I hear, he's the nicest kid. I know Adam Sandler was heartbroken when that happened. Heartbroken because he was in Grown Ups too. So,
many people seem to be totally shocked by it and really kind of upset, which shows kind of what kind of guy he would have been.
Mm-hmm. He was such a generally nice kid. I mean, I don't want to say he was raised the right way, but I don't know. He was that person that had he had a good soul to him. He was really considerate of people. Every person that I spoke to said he was just such a sweet person. Such a huge loss, I know Adam, like I said, Adam Sandler was devastated by that. And actually his wife, and I didn't know that it was his mom was also on set and his daughters were actually on set too. And it's so cool that I know who she is now because she has been in so many of his movies and you guys probably don't even know it's her.
No.
Like you just think she's just like a background person or whatever. It's so funny, but he puts her in a lot of his films, just little bits, but still.
But enough to make up a sort of family album over the years.
Yeah, just to have her around.
Yep. So, but yeah, so those are pretty much the two. And my favorite director is David O. Russell, and Seth MacFarlane, but like I said, everybody has their bad days, but I just think David O. Russell has a brilliant mind, personally.
And I think that...
Like Silver Linings, love that movie.
Silver Linings was one of the most recent ones of his that I saw, because it had just slipped through the net. I'd never got around to watching it. I watched it, I think, probably about a year ago. I watched it. Such a good film. It's really good.
Yeah,
but David O. Russell,
really
I think he's a lot of filmmakers, it's like, oh, they've got a film coming out, that'll be this type of film. David O. Russell does different types of films, which I love.
Well, that's just like Stephen King. He's very versatile, too. Yeah. I mean, he could do like a Children of the Corn. He did like a Misery, It. I mean, he's kind of all over the place, too. Then he did, oh my gosh, what was that really old, not older one, about the pack of kids that hung out? And
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. Yes. Like he's pretty versatile too. And did I tell you, Stuart, that my dad looks identical to him?
Yes, you did, yeah.
It is so, I'm like, Dad, that should be like a moment for you. That like being in that's beautiful. And he hates it because he gets stopped all the time. You
should take a picture of him, put it on Twitter, and go, look who I met today, and just see how many people come back and go, wow, Stephen King.
He literally is his twin. It is scary. I told you that we were in Florida. We got lost, and the guy wouldn't give us directions until my dad signed an autograph for him. My dad kept telling him, I am not him. He's like, sure, you're not Stephen. My dad's like, my name is Bill. He was so aggravated. He goes, I'll sign it, but I'm signing my name. And that's what he did. I'm like, he does. He looks that much like him. It's crazy.
So he signed the autograph as Bill, not Stephen.
Yeah, he would not do it.
So somewhere out there, there's going to be a story that Stephen King's got yet another pseudonym, not just Richard Bachman, but Bill.
Right.
somebody's geek wall there, this shrine to Bill.
Probably.
Oh, he gets so mad. You can't even bring it up to him as a joke. He gets so mad. It's been years, and people still stop him.
I think it's time to make a stand, isn't it? Yeah, just keep firing loads of Stephen King references at him. See how many he can get away with before he catches on.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So, mentioning geek walls, you don't have much of a geek wall, do you, Stacey?
Not so much. I mean, I did like a little superhero type thing, but no, not so much. I tend to do a lot of, I've done some horror, but I tend to do a lot of like the comedy stuff and drama. Mm-hmm. I like thriller stuff too, but I guess I don't know, am I not scary? The one time that I've like done a horror, they sent me back to makeup like 5 times. They're like, nope, dirty her up more. Get her, she needs to like look really bad. And they just kept sending me back. So I don't know. And I think too, I'm kind of like I'm just like a little bit more feminine than like what do they call Scream Queen? Yeah. Queen. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I love watching them though. Like I love that stuff, but I guess I don't really fit that role too well. And it could also be the writing. It could also be the makeup artist, because for the most part, it's indies that I've done with horror. So I could do like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I could pull that off.
Well, Rob's trying to put together a film about goats in Wales. So maybe the goats can attack somebody and then you can come in, Stace, and save the day, possibly. You could be
I could be a goat hero?
You could be the goat hero. You could either make the goats calm down, or you could just kill them all. I don't know. You could just either way, really.
That would be fantastic. I would have loved to be back in the time when they did Children of the Corn, though. I would have loved to be in that movie.
Such a cool film.
One of those kids in the cornfield. I would love that.
The sequel's not amazing, but the original one is a classic.
The original one's great, very, yeah. Very good. And
Come
The Shining,
on, Stuart,
too.
Get your pen out.
I will. I'll write it tonight.
Let's write something, yeah. Get it done.
I do tend...
Stuart, what do you like writing?
I like writing mainly... It's somebody once asked me, they're saying, if you could write in any style of film, what type of style? And if I could write films like Seven or... The game, anything David Fincher before Fight Club.
Okay.
That's the type of stuff that I seem to gravitate towards. I've not yet tackled comedy, Maybe I will.
Okay.
I don't know, but
But you are funny.
I know. I do. I come out with the odd funny joke now and again. But
I've listened to you and Rob. You guys are like your own little show, like your real show. We need to put you on TV.
We do. That would work.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Hide behind a wall and go, no, don't film me. But it was, possibly.
Your conversations make me giggle.
Do you know how hard it is to write the show notes for these podcasts, though? Because a lot of podcasts generally go, on this episode, we will discuss this. I don't even know what we're going to talk about whilst we're doing it. I don't know what I'm going to be saying in 2 minutes' time. Haven't got a clue. So they are literally all over the place.
Yeah, and when we are given homework, we just ignore it because it's usually ignored anyway.
Bob sets us some homework and then doesn't show up for 3 weeks. So that Oliver Stone homework is still sitting there on my show notes. Because once again, Bob is AWOL. So there you go. But no, thrillers, human drama stuff.
Did I ask you if you saw The Lodge?
I have not seen The Lodge.
Okay. I wasn't impressed, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Who's in it?
I honestly, no big names that I'm aware of that stuck with me anyway.
Okay. I shall investigate that.
Was it? It was just a slow going. Like I like the idea of the storyline, but it was just a slow going film for me personally. But other people were like, I loved it. Not so much.
I find it weird when the whole planet loves a film and then I'll watch it and go, no. Or the whole planet hates a film and I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen. Like Meet Joe Black, 90% of the planet Earth hates that film, including Brad Pitt apparently. But I love it. I think it's great, but nobody likes it. So
I can barely recall that movie.
Brad Pitt can't either. He's like, he did interviews where he was saying, not a fan. It's like, this is a publicity tour, Brad. What are you doing? So it's it's kind of odd.
That sounds like Johnny Depp. He says stuff like that all the time. They'll put him on the spot and ask him questions about the film. He's like, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
I do that too.
No.
I'm not Johnny Depp, but I do that too.
Uh-oh. Well, that's the thing, because you're
just your worst critic,
when you're filming it.
What's that?
Are you your worst critic, though? Will you watch a film that you're in and go, look at me. Don't watch this bit. Stephen King / Dad. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, when a lot of people send me a DM or they'll post, like, guess what I'm watching? I'm like, oh, you don't have to watch that. I don't know. I don't know. It's odd because then they're like, so what did you look like? What did you wear? What did you say? Who were you with? And it turns into a whole thing. And I haven't seen 99% of them, to be quite honest.
I would recommend Patriots Day. That's amazing. That's
really
such a good film. That was the film. Have you seen The Last Jedi, either of you, or are you going to watch it?
Yep.
I don't recall.
The second last Star.
You're talking about the old one?
No, the second last Star Wars one.
Oh no, nope, I haven't seen it.
Are you going to watch it or no?
No.
Okay. So there was a guy that I used to work with, and I'd gone in and I said, I'm watching this film on Netflix called Patriots Day. I said, I've got about 20 minutes left, but it's such a good film if you've not seen it. And he went, oh, is that the one where they find him in a boat? And I went, if I get home and they find the person they're looking for in a boat, I'm going to be really mad. So I got home. Sure enough, they find somebody in a boat. So I went back in the day after. I'm like, thanks very much for ruining that film. He went, oh, you're welcome. I went, have you seen The Last Jedi yet? He went, no. I went, Luke Skywalker dies. And I walked off. I was so mad because Patriots Day is still such a powerful, amazing film. But it's like, you just ruined it on purpose. It's like, no, I ain't tolerated. So yeah, I ruined Star Wars for him. But it's definitely such a good film.
That is funny.
So I have got a little new segment on the podcast where each week I'm going to go through somebody's top 10 favourite films. Neither of you have to get nervous. I've already got somebody else's list here. So you're like, no, I need to come up with my top 10 favourite films. I'm going to dissect them and see if it's a decent top 10 list. So a friend of the show, Abel, who I work with, he has no idea. He's probably listening to somewhere going, oh my God, you're reading out my list. Thanks a bunch. He's given me his top 10 films. I asked him for them. I said, give me your top 10 films. He's like, why? I'm like, it doesn't matter why. Just give me a list. Yeah, but why? Look, give me the list. Shush. So he wonderfully put together his top 10 of all-time films. So let's see how many of these you've seen and whether you think they're worthy being on a top 10. So we got The Wizard of Oz. Good film?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's a great family film.
Flying monkeys are creepy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing with The Wizard of Oz. You ask anybody, what do you think of The Wizard of Oz? Everybody goes, oh, it's lovely, friendly, happy film. No, but it's exactly the same when you talk about Return to Oz. When I sat down, I thought, oh, yeah, the follow-up to The Wizard of Oz, I'll watch that with Addie. And she was probably 6 at the time, and it starts off with Dorothy in a mental asylum and having shock therapy, and I quickly turned it off and changed the subject.
Yes, it's a very creepy film. So I think that's worthy being on the list anyway. So the Shawshank Redemption, that's probably on most people's lists of some sort, I think. Very good. He's got Airplane on there. Fans of Airplane. Annette hates that film. She just does not think it's funny at all. I think it's one of the funniest comedies ever. It's great. Yeah. Surely you can't be serious. Yep. It's amazing.
I think it's funny.
Second one, not so much, but first one, very, very good. So this surprised me because Beauty and the Beast, the 1992 animated one.
Great film. It'd be on my top 10 as well. It's one of my favourite Disney film.
Oh, I don't know what my favourite Disney film is. I don't know. Emperor's New Groove, maybe. Don't know. Are you a fan of?
I like Lion King.
Lion King's good. Did you watch the remake?
I did not.
It's okay.
Watch
it once. Yeah. It's a novelty watch. So you watch it and you go, "That's good," but it was an unnecessary film. But it was nice to watch. It's well made. So next one, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I prefer the first Terminator, but I quite like the second one as well.
Yeah, I like them all.
Pulp Fiction.
Yep, good one.
Yep.
What did you think of the California? What is it called?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No. The one with Woody Harrelson. California Killers? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. It's so old. Juliette.
Juliette
what's
Lewis.
her name?
And Brad Pitt.
Yes.
No, Brad Pitt. It was this one. I get confused now.
Woody Harrelson, right?
Natural Born Killers.
Yes, there we go. I knew it had something to do with California. I don't know where I got that.
I love Natural Born Killers. It's a weird, strange, just Oliver Stone off on his crazy rampage. But I'm a fan of that film. I think it's very, very clever. It's some of the best.
Did you happen to see Dexter?
Yes, I did. Chance?
Yeah,
yep,
me too.
Show.
Big fan of Dexter. But between those two, the reason I brought that up is they influenced the most, I don't know how to word it, but more people became serial killers that said they were influenced by those two movies. That's what I was trying to say.
Because Oliver Stone at one point got taken to court because of that sort of thing. So there's a fascinating book about the making of Natural Born Killers written by the producers, which I forgot what it's called, but I'll screen grab the picture and send it out if you like reading books. But that's very good.
You must get a ton of scripts sent your way. I get a ton of scripts. A lot of you don't.
No,
what about you, Rob? Do you get anything sent to you?
Oh, just spam.
Yes. Spam and Viagra adverts. It's like, thanks a bunch. No. But no.
Okay, I get
I tend to get a lot of people messaging me saying, "Wow, I love your work." I'm thinking, well, you haven't seen it yet because they're not out. So I do get a lot of that. And then when I was starting to cast and talk about the Mimi films, I would get a lot of child actor accounts run by the parents, thankfully, following my accounts. So I would get a lot of that. But I get a lot of composers sort of getting in touch. I had a guy message me the other day, and it was very much broken English through the Twitter, but which is fine because wherever he was from, I don't speak the language he was from, so I'm not going to critique his English. But it was a case of, I've got a great story to tell. So, okay. I think you're the perfect one to tell it. Okay. Phone me up. I will talk. No, I'm thinking I'm not going to phone you up because if you come out with the best story ever, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm still making my own stuff, but that sort of thing I get now and again. But I'm not at the point where I get flooded by DMs. I do get a lot of people saying, "Hey, donate to my crowdfunding campaign," No,
Ugh.
no, because
That's
I
everywhere.
have not got lots of money, so I'm very choosy about who I give it away to. So.
Yep. I've had people contact me from high school that have asked me for loans. I'm like, are you kidding me? Literally have hunted me down. I'm like, what? Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm not even making that up.
It's the thing. You've worked with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale. Therefore, you just sit there and just in your house built with big stacks of dollar bills, waiting for the money truck to just park up on the driveway every morning.
Well,
sadly enough,
infinity pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I actually, it's funny. I have a hot tub and I drive an Infinity. But what I find really interesting is someone actually sent me a screenshot of you can look up someone's net worth. Lies, Stuart. It's a lie. So if you look me up and you see it, it is a lie. I'm telling you, do not buy it. And I think that's why people are so misunderstood.
Twice or 3 times as much.
Yes.
I'm not even close to what the internet says that I am. I'm not even close. I wish. I'm like, okay, where's that check? Because my account doesn't show that.
Check my PayPal. It's obviously hiding all in there.
Exactly. Yep.
So we got Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is number 4. Which is good. I prefer Fellowship of the Ring, to be fair. I like that one as my favourite. And number 3, The Godfather Part 2. Good choice. Number 2, The Dark Knight. I actually prefer Batman Begins. And number 1, his number 1 all-time film, which I will let him off, is The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great film. So that's his top 10. It's not a good one. I think I've actually seen them all, so I'm doing quite well on that one. So at some point, Stacey, I will DM you and get your top 10 films, and then Rob and I could dissect that one week and see if you're worthy of being a movie fan or not. And also
that sounds reasonable.
Also, remember though, if you put films that aren't very good at that on that list, then the net worth on that website may go down. So just take that into account when you do come out with your films.
Alrighty.
It's madness. So my film festival started. I've already watched 2 films on the 102-inch wall. Well, the wall's bigger than 102-inch, but the screen is 102-inch. So the first film that we watched was David Fincher's Seven, which was amazing watching it in a very dark room on a big screen. I love Seven.
You have a nice setup over there, don't you?
Well, it's all Rob's fault, because we bought a projector, and then Rob was talking to me on a podcast one week, and I'm like, I really need to test this projector. So since then, I've gone out and spent stupid amounts of money on cables and screens that I didn't use and all sorts of stuff. So it's...
But the money I've saved you in cinema tickets is
amazing. Yeah, not that we... can we go to cinemas now? I don't know if the... No,
nope. I don't think
so.
Well, here you can't.
And then Annette and I've got this thing where it's like, I'll choose a film one night, you choose the next one, and we've got 20 days to fill. So her choice the night after, and they're all my Blu-rays, so technically they're all my choices too, was the 2011 Zack Snyder film Sucker Punch, which I adore that film. It's amazing.
I haven't seen that.
And pretty much everybody hates the film. They don't. I don't know why they don't like it. They sort of look at it and go, yeah, but it's just like a big long music video, and you go, yeah, but it's just like a video game or whatever. And you go, yeah, it's great film. It's amazing soundtrack. It's a weird film. It's very strange, but it's good. Rob, have you seen Sucker Punch?
It's on my list to watch, but I haven't seen it. No,
it's very good. I would love to explain what it's about, but I couldn't do it justice. But it is Zack Snyder he gets a lot of bashing on Twitter as well, which is unjustified. He is one of the best visual filmmakers out there, a bit like Michael Bay. Michael Bay apparently a little bit different, shall we say, but visually, give him a camera, you'll be in for some treats. So, spoiler, and Ed doesn't know it yet, but my film that I'm going to be watching tomorrow is the Steve Jobs, which is an amazing film. If you've not seen that.
Have you watched the other one, but what's his name?
With Ashton Kutcher.
No, the Wines. Is it not Harvey? What's his name? The Hollywood guy who was found dead in his cell. That was being sued for all those Me Toos.
The Epstein thing.
Yes, I couldn't think of his name.
I have not. No.
A lot of people have said it was really good, even though obviously it's very graphic.
Because his girlfriend or whatever has been arrested, I think, in the past few days as well. So Twitter is doing its thing. Twitter's just a crazy place to watch, to just look at nowadays. It's like it's very much like a gladiator academy, isn't it? Twitter. I wake up in the morning and go, right, oh, that was a nice however many hours sleep. Right, let's have a look on Twitter and see which celebrity is being ripped to pieces today. And it's a different one each day. I think Terry Crews, he was attacked last week. J.K. Rowling, she's had a bit of trouble. Stephen King very nearly did, but he backtracked and he was okay. So that was a close one for Stephen King. But it's just people just get so angry and judgmental on Twitter and streams and stuff. It's crazy. I think a lot of that, do you think it's to do with the lockdowns where they've forgotten how to speak to people?
No, I think it's just more apparent now.
What do you reckon, Rob? Do you agree?
I think lockdown has added to people's emotional state, but yeah, I think it's they're only kind of it's always been there. It's just kind of brought it more to the surface, and people are more vocal because, well, they've got to be vocal online because they can't go out and talk in the local bar.
I mean, heaven forbid they actually go, I watched a film, I quite liked it. You can't do that. It's very rare. That sort of tweet just disappears into the wind. You've got to spit venom and rip things apart.
Start your petition.
Oh, petitions and cancel culture. Oh, I hate that. It's mad. So, documentary I'd finished watching, I forgot to mention it before. I watched it maybe 3.5 hours ago. I rented it from Google Play, so thank you for that, Rob. So that's probably more money I'm going to spend because you mentioned the Star Trek. Everything becomes Rob's fault. So he mentioned the Star Trek documentary, which I rented on Google Play, which was very easy platform to use. So now I'm renting more films on Google Play, so therefore, Rob, it's all your fault.
It's fine. I've just read my net worth, and I'll send you a check. I can afford it.
Did you look up mine? Mine is comical. Oh my gosh.
I will be looking at it.
No wonder people think I'm loaded. It's hysterical.
Now, has your net worth gone up or down since you've been on this podcast? That will be the question. That'll be a deciding factor for you. But the documentary I watched, it's called Inmate Number 1, The Story of Downey Trejo. And it is amazing. It's such a good documentary. So Annette's not a fan of Downey Trejo's. So she'll see him on TV or in films and go, oh, and there you go. But by the end of this documentary, she had tears in her eyes. So she's now a Downey Trejo fan. So that's the power of this documentary, that it's one around. But it's really interesting. He's so candid on it. I mean, he's had a troubled youth, prison days, armed robbery days. He came out of prison and ended up being in lots of really cool movies and stuff. But he is so open and candid in this documentary. And he's one of these people who's now leapt onto I'd like to meet him one day because he seems like a really decent person. So him and Robert Downey Jr. will bump into them in Starbucks and just, have a chat. But yeah, the story of Downey Trejo, Inmate Number 1, definitely a recommended documentary. So far my favourite.
Well, you guys have to watch that Craigslist one.
I will.
The Craigslist show.
I'm going to go have a look for that one. So what have you got planned? Because you're in the past, Stacey. We're at sort of 10 o'clock at night. Our Sunday is nearly gone. You've still got some Sunday left. What have you got planned?
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. I'm not quite sure, honestly. Probably not too much going on. I've been spending so much time just trying to support streamers and stuff because I know once I start working again, like all of my communication on Twitter is going to dwindle down to nothing because I obviously can't be on set playing with my phone the whole time. I won't be able to invest all the time that I do now.
It's like, shut up, Mr. Wahlberg. I'm on a YouTube thing and
I know. Can you hold on? I'm trying to post, Mark. God.
Look, oh, Russell.
So selfish.
Look, Mr. Three Kings. Shut up. I'm just finishing this hashtag.
Yep.
So how are you? Are you eager to get back out there in the world, or are you? How's everybody feeling about the lockdowns? I'm generally happy about the lockdown because I'm still doing my job at home, so that's okay for me. But
well, I've become accustomed to being home now, so it's going to be a stretch for me because a lot of sets start. You have to be there at 5 a.m, sometimes even earlier. So it's definitely going to be an adjustment because it's been a couple of months now that I can just sleep and get up when I feel like it. And, I haven't been very strict with myself. And then the gym closed, so that schedule is out the window.
Rob, are you eager to get back out, or you're okay being home?
I'm tempted to refuse when I'm told to go back out.
Same. I'm going to develop a cough as soon as they say you can all come back in. And be like, "Oh, my temperature's gone up. I've started coughing. Sorry, I'll see you in 2 weeks."
Yep.
But it's crazy how the world has just changed so drastically in such a few months.
Yeah, it is. It's scary.
It's mad. But
what is life like for you, Stacey? Are you allowed to go shopping, meet friends, that kind of thing? What is kind of been locked down and what hasn't?
Yeah, not really. Basically, there's a line at the grocery store, and they only allow a certain amount of people in at a time. You have to wear a mask. A lot of the places around here are mask only. Like, you can actually get fined if you don't have a mask on. Mm-hmm. So, there's really not too much going on that you can do. Bars aren't open. Clubs aren't open. Theaters aren't open. So it's basically like you're just, a hermit, really. It just becomes a hermit. It's going to be a stretch for me, guys, getting back out there. I'm telling you, I'm worried. I really am worried. I know once I get in the routine of it, because I did it so long, obviously I'll get the hang of it. But it's always that first few steps you have to take. You're like, oh God, this is going to hurt.
It'll be like learning a new thing all over again, won't it?
It will. Well, the schedule itself, yeah. Like being as strict as I am, because you have to be dependable. You can't show up to a set late. And even if you're on time, you're still considered late. You need to be there early. So, yeah, it's going to take a lot of self-discipline to get myself back there, but I will.
It always takes me back to these people that were talking at the end of 2019, 2019, what a terrible year. Can't wait for 2020. Yeah, but they could not have predicted that 2020 would be the year that it is.
I know, imagine. This is going to be like the brunt of so many jokes when like the younger kids grow up. It could always be worse. It could be 2020.
Could be.
It's going to be the brunt of every joke eventually.
It's part of history, though, isn't it, that we're living in at the minute? I've said to a few people, it's like, we're probably, other than September, October, of course, we're never going to live in this sort of time again where it's a case of stay at home, just watch TV.
Right.
Just don't leave your house. But some people are going nuts now. You think, well, I was old enough to remember when there was no internet in the house. There was no computers. There was no Netflix or anything. So I can't imagine what it would be like fully being locked down in your house with none of this wonderful technology that we have. No podcasts or anything like that. So, in some ways, we're kind of lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We just the other day, I started watching a documentary on Anne Frank. And that kind of hits home when you start watching that and you see kind of the space that her and her family were living in. And then you think, well, they didn't have any internet and they didn't have, a mobile phone or anything. She had her diary to kind of keep her busy and that was it. So the people kind of moaning about lockdown, it could be a lot worse.
And Anne Frank was there for a year? Was it a year that she hid? Or was it longer?
Oh, yeah.
And yet, we're told to stay at home. Nobody's going to knock on our door and kill us. So, take that aspect out of it as well. Stay at home, watch TV. If you can work from home, that's kind of cool. It's not that bad. Just stay at home. Don't feel... These people that are running out, certainly in the UK, were like, oh, pubs are open. It's great. Finally. Really? That's your concern? You can go and have a drink? It's mad. It's very strange. John Fouts spoke to me the other week and he said it's bad in America. He said, I wish it was as organised as it was in the UK. And I was like laughing at him going, I don't know what news you're watching, but it wasn't like that. I think we covered a lot of that on the podcast that we did, but it's kind of a mess in the UK at the minute. So.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's like that everywhere, really.
Yeah. It's mad. So I'm going to go hunt down a Craigslist documentary.
Yes, you have to do that, both of you. And I want feedback.
Also, thank you for that recommendation of the film If I Stay. as well, which was very, very good. Thoroughly loved it. Yep.
I wasn't sure if you watched it. I want to ask again. I felt like I was being a pain.
No, we really, really enjoyed it. It's really good. Don't read the IMDb blurb though, because it spoils it. So I obviously I knew what the pitch was because I'd researched the film and had found it, but Annette didn't. So she just thought it was one film that she was watching, and then it changes into the storyline. It changes into. She's like, "What? I did not see that coming." You think, well, you would have done if you'd have read the IMDb plot line because it would have ruined it for you. Mm-hmm. But it was, very, very good. So thank you for that.
I think that was the last one I watched that I cried. So
yes.
Yeah. Yep, that was the last one.
So I think the last one that broke me was My Sister's Keeper. And then the film before that. Well, My Sister's Keeper, I mean, If I Stay kind of breaks you in a few places. My Sister's Keeper goes, here's some beginning credits. Right, buckle up for 2 hours. I'm going to break you slowly over 2 hours. It will just slowly destroy you, but it's a great film. But it's kind of vicious. And I think the film that broke me before that was My Dog Skip, which is a U-certificate Kevin Bacon film about a dog. And I will never, ever watch that film again because it's a horrible piece of cinema that just ruins people's emotions and kills. It's heartbreaking. Good film.
You definitely don't need that.
I don't need that. So that's probably two to not watch. So, Rob, what's the last film while we sort of round this up? Has there ever been a film that's broken you emotionally?
Oh, many a film. I couldn't tell you what the last one was, but I'm getting ready to. Addie's been asking to watch The Never-Ending Story, so I'm getting.
Oh, that broke me.
Yeah, it's going to break
Rob,
me
do you
again.
know the story about
Artex.
About the main character?
No, this was you were talking about that. This was the kid from the second one that you were talking about, Stacey.
Oh, okay.
So thankfully, the kid from the first one is still around. Barrett Oliver, but yeah, Jonathan Brandis, who was in Sequest and the second Never-Ending Story, he took his own life. So that was bad.
But I love that movie, the original. Love that movie. Such a great movie.
I was Barrett Oliver when I was a kid. I was the one who would hide away and eat sandwiches and read a book, and then get chased down alleyways. But I didn't have a luck. I didn't have a luck dragon though, which I really could have done with. But
dog, remember? There was a whole war in that chat. It's a dog. No, it's a dragon. No, it's a dog.
It's a luck dragon. They call it that in the film. It's what they call him. Falcor. Yep. Oh, live chats. They're great. They turn into riots sometimes, don't they? But Never-Ending Story is a great film. But if the scene with Artex in the swamp doesn't break her, Rob, that your child has no heart.
Right.
Oh, that still destroys me. But it freaks me out that decades after I did an online interview with the Empress from Never-Ending Story, she very kindly answered all my spending time with questions. So that was like uber cool. That
is very cool.
She's now a singer, so she's doing very well for herself. Yes, so you need to let me know what she thinks of the Never-Ending Story, Rob. Don't watch the sequels though. Just they're not good.
I've watched them personally, and I think she'd probably ask to see them anyway. So
they don't exist. They don't exist. Just say there's only one.
Yeah.
There are no more.
Rewriting movie history.
Yeah, pretty much. There's only 3 Indiana Jones films and one Never-Ending Story film. So that's very good. So thanks for joining, Stace. Much appreciated.
All right, guys, thank you.
How has it been? I mean, it hasn't developed into a riot, which is good. So that's all right. Nobody had to wear makeup or anything because it's just audio only. But
speak for yourself.
Yeah, I'm just.
Well, thank you, and I will catch you guys later.
You will indeed.
And I definitely want to hear what you think about Craigslist, Joe. So I'll be waiting for that.
I will make sure. So you asked me what I was going to do over these 20 days off. Part of it will be getting that film and watching it, and then later.
Yeah, we'll both hunt it down and watch it.
We will. All right.
Sounds good.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll have a.
You too. Thank you again.
We'll have a catch up soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Stacey's got that. She was cool. What do you think?
She was lovely.
She's great, but she's been doing some live YouTube streams, and I think she did the video one first, and then just progress to audio like we're doing now, and I think pretty much agrees that the audio one's easier, especially when you've only got one person who can be seen. It's kind of weird. I think if you can see everybody else, then that's kind of cool. But so I've been joining in some of her live streams whilst I've supposed to have been working at it's silly o'clock in the morning. So, but yeah, I know I enjoyed. I'll finish off a little bit with the Deep Space Nine thing. I did enjoy it. Ira's beard was very, very strange. What is with that purple beard?
Yeah, I think the guy just likes to be different.
He certainly does manage to be different. And I think that sort of taking a lot of the things away from that documentary, the one thing that sticks in my brain is Terry Farrell talking about when she left the show. It was heartbreaking. It was so sad.
Because as a fan of the show, you just think, well, why did she leave? Not that she was forced out.
No. So it was heartbreaking to watch that. It was cool to see Worf in his makeup. So it was, I enjoyed it. It was really good. I sat and watched it. I ended up watching it on my own because Annette hasn't seen a lot of the DS9, so I thought that's one for me. But it was definitely a good recommendation. So
I think it's one of those things that just could benefit with being more widely available, because when they came out in the cinemas over here, it was a limited release in just a handful of venues, and let's get it on Netflix or something like that. That's what we need.
It's quite easy for me to find. I just went looking for it, and I think I found like a Blu-ray release on Amazon, and then saw this Google Play link, and then looked at the difference in price and thought, well, I'm probably only going to watch it once. And so I rented it, downloaded it, and it sits in the account for 30 days. And then as soon as you start watching it, you got 48 hours to watch it. So it's not a bad platform to watch films on. So that's where I also got the Danny Trejo documentary from, which is very good. But
what was your view on the HD content, the remastered footage?
I didn't really, because they didn't make a big thing of that in it, did they?
They didn't. He says, and now kind of the bit you've all been waiting for, kind of that full kind of HD sequence, the battle sequence, the Defiant fighting, kind of the Klingon with the Klingons breaking through Dominion lines and all that kind of stuff.
That looked okay, because I was expecting that. I thought you were talking about a sequence where it's like, hey, look what we've done, and I don't remember seeing that part.
No.
Yeah, where it shows the sort of animatics of the space battle. That's kind of looked alright. It didn't look like the original series or anything. It looked like an animated sort of previs, whatever they call them. But
no, I'm talking about the actual shot from the series that they had kind of remastered. It was one of the Dominion War battles, and you kind of get to see that if unless you missed it.
No. So I did actually sit and watch it all. I watched it all, and I didn't. I'm just wondering whether there's a different version out there or something. But they did. I don't remember them making a point about this has been remastered. I do remember it's near the beginning or whatever, I think, where they showed the space battle that I'd seen before. And then later on they do like an animatic for this new, when they bring it back type thing, they go into all that sort of stuff. But it's all right. I'm glad I watched the HD version. It was only like £1 dearer. So why would you not go for that? But no, I'm glad I have watched the documentary. So what you got planned for the rest of the week? Just more of the same? You back at work tomorrow?
Back at work Tuesday, Wednesday. So maybe I'll start doing a bit of work myself. I don't know. I've been quite enjoying just relaxing and playing on the Switch and not doing much. So
just force yourself to rest. Sometimes you got to, and you will feel the benefit for it. Just go, do you know what? Everyone else can wait. I'm just going to relax. It's amazing, which I'm going to do over the next 20 days. I've got a few podcasts here and there, and a few films to watch, and I'm going to test out Iron Man VR and whatnot. But it's going to be so nice not thinking about work for 20 days. Definitely a fan.
Sounds good.
Well, I shall leave you to it for now, but sorry to spring a last-minute guest on you, but I think we enjoyed ourselves. It was fun.
Yeah, it was great being a part of it, and thank you, Stacey, again.
I don't know if she'll listen to the show again, because obviously she was on it. So, but
she's got so much more to listen to.
There's a lot of episodes that she can catch up on. But thank you to Abel for chucking in your top 10. That's a pretty good top 10. I think that's acceptable. So Abel did message me earlier on saying, "Have you got any more homework for me?" I said, "Well, not yet, because we've not done this homework. But if we can come up with any sort of tasks for him, we'll let you know, Abel." So it's all right. But
sounds good.
So I'll catch up with you soon, Rob. Take care, sleep well, etc., etc.
You too. Thank you.
Chat soon. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.